Welcome to Between the Pipes with your hosts, Archie and Wade. Coming to you live from Ontario, Canada. Let's go!
Hey, it's Friday. What's going on, Wade?
Archie, how you doing, buddy? We're back. Between the Pipes, second week in a row on season 3. It's wonderful, buddy. Hockey hasn't started yet, but it's still preseason. Getting to see a little bit of what we're in for the upcoming season. Yahoo fantasy leagues are starting up soon. Drafting probably in another week or two. But how are you, buddy? How's everything going with you?
Good, man. Good. Can't complain. Feeling a little tired. I stayed up all night, binge watching All or Nothing. And as I was telling you before we went live here, it is a hell of a documentary. For anybody who hasn't been crazy enough to watch it already, cramming it overnight. It is a 5-part series. Action-packed, really well done. You really get to see the hockey side of guys like JT. You start to feel for some of the guys who came here with the expectations of getting through a first round. I loved Jack Campbell already. I love him even more now after watching that whole thing. The guy puts so much on himself, so much pressure, and he appreciates every little thing from his teammates, like constantly thanking the team, thanking his defensemen, the goal scorers that win games. And it really gives you an appreciation for that 11-game win streak that he had going on last season, and his mentality going through it all. So it was pretty cool. Definitely a great series to watch for anybody who hasn't yet. And if you have and you're watching, I'd love to hear some feedback on what you thought. But other than that, we've seen some preseason action. Let's get your take on it. From what you've seen so far, if you've caught any of the games, what do you think?
Well, preseason's hard. Preseason's preseason. Always hard to kind of tell which players are going to stand out, which players are going to make the team. Obviously, with the Leafs and everything, what stands out, obviously, if you're a Leafs fan and you were watching the games, is Mr. Michael Bunting. Had a hat trick the last game he played there. Just a menace in front of the net. All his goals are within about. Sorry, guys, I got something going on with my nose right now, man. It's like itchy. I'm like, oh, what's going on? But anyways, Michael Bunting, just type of player he is, goes to the dirty spots of the net, and that last goal, just a quick tape-to-tape pass from behind the net and ripped it top shelf. Goalie had no idea, had no time. I love that quick release, and I haven't really seen him really get under the skin of the other players, which it's still preseason, right? But he's going to be one of those effective players that he's going to be a first or second line guy, maybe even a third line guy. Who knows what's going to happen here with the roster? Robertson, Richie fighting for a spot there. I love me and you both like Gabriel. He's awesome, man. So we'll see what happens. Preseason, it's always hard to tell, though, man. Everyone's out there trying their best. There's a lot of call-ups, a lot of guys that you probably won't even see in a Leaf jersey this season or next year. Just, you know what I mean? It's kind of getting the team together, seeing what you have, and I just like Michael Bunting, and obviously the core group guys like, your Tavares's, Marners, Nylanders. They just kind of look like they're going through the motions, getting ready for a regular season start. What about you? Did you see anything that caught your eye, Arch, or what?
Yeah, I gotta say, Bunting definitely caught my eye.
I know you're gonna say Peter Mrazek. I know you're gonna mention that, but go ahead.
Before we even get to him, Bunting has been impressive. Gabriel, got into a fight already.
Yeah.
Some big hits. Scored a goal. It was an empty netter, but hey, you know what? A goal's a goal. He was on his head. He made sure to keep on top of the puck, took advantage of a bad play by a goalie, and put it in. What's his name? Richie has been impressive as well, even as I believe his name's pronounced Cache, who came along with Richie in that deal. Pretty impressive as well. Yeah. Robertson, I'm still he's not his brother. We can definitely see that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if this kid is going to be able to compete with the talent that's on this team right now and these new faces really wanting to make some noise. He hasn't done anything crazy just yet. There's still a few games where he can kind of, impress the team. He does have speed. We know that. I'm just not sure where he fits in with this team. But he's got some time. He's got some time to still make the lineup and impress the coaches and whatnot. Mrazek, I can't pinpoint what it is about him, but he already in that one preseason game that he played the full game looked really, really comfortable, really confident.
Yeah.
Made some big saves, man. He's got a quick glove, cat-like reflexes, and he seems to read the play really well. Not to knock on Campbell, but I am actually really excited that these are our two guys to roll with.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing. Again, not to knock on Freddie either. It's just that I feel like he brought the Leafs as far as he possibly could. The constant leg injuries, and again, you'll see that if you watch the documentary. You kind of feel for Freddie, but at the same time, you kind of get an idea that Keefe and Dubas kind of gave up on him as well.
Yeah.
And almost to the point where they felt like, oh, how long is he out for? And the personal trainer was even saying, until he feels comfortable to come back on the ice and play with gear on. And they were kind of like, well, so when's that? Like, what's he saying? And he wasn't really giving them any sort of direction.
Huh.
And at one point in the documentary, Freddie's out there with skates and a goalie stick, just kind of getting a feel of the crease and whatnot. No pads, no equipment. And Dubas gets up and looks over the glass, and he's like, oh, Freddie's gone already. And Keefe was like, he was out there? And Dubas is like, yeah, no equipment or anything, but he was out there. And they kind of look at each other kind of like, so what's going on?
Yeah.
So
that's weird. That sounds like some miscommunication.
Yeah, some miscommunications, maybe some issues with Freddie not feeling happy anymore, not feeling comfortable. But I mean, Jack Campbell, we saw it, grabbed the bull by the horns, came in and just played. And the guy's got a lot of heart and a lot of passion. I love what he brings to this team. He's definitely improved from his previous years with his play and his confidence as well, having the confidence in his defenseman in front of him and in the offense to score goals and win them games as well. But Peter Mrazek, I'm liking what I see. I really do. I like what I see with him. And I think these two are going to battle for starting position. And we may see for the first time in a long time in Toronto, we may not have a definitive starting goalie right off the hop. And then that's okay. It's okay to have that tandem goalie system where you've got two completely reliable goalies. So I think it'll be a great start for both of these guys fighting for that, more ice time, if you want to call it. What do you think? What did you feel when you saw the goalies? I mean, I know it's preseason.
You know what? Exactly kind of what you're saying there, Archie. When Mrazek was in net, just kind of like a calm and cool factor, like he's a professional and he's been in the league. And I mean, Mrazek has, I don't know how much NHL experience, but it's definitely close to like 7-8 years for sure. Like he was Detroit, then Carolina. So he's been around the loop. He's a professional hockey goalie, man. And he was part of that duo with Reimer in Carolina that just, like, they lit it up, man. They brought Carolina to, I think, the semifinals there, like within the last few years. And like you said, he flashed the leather. He makes the fancy looking saves. He just seemed calm, cool, and collective in net, man. Cool as a cucumber, and that's what you want in a goalie. And I mean, that's all I can really say about it. It's still preseason. It's one game. You don't know pressure situations. You don't know what kind of teams are coming in and he's facing. You don't know what power plays you're going up against, right? So for preseason, he looked good. Jack Campbell is Jack Campbell. We know what he can bring. We watched him win 11 straight, like you were saying earlier. And he's supposed to be our starting goalie, but you never know. Like, we've said this before, guys. Jack Campbell has never played a full season of hockey as a starter or even as a backup. Like, he's never played like a full season start to finish where he's the definitive guy. And that's definitely going to factor in. Like, is he going to be ready to go? Is he going to be fatigued? Is he going to let the mental part of the game get to him, because he seems like it seems like he carries a lot of weight on his shoulders, man. And like you were saying in the documentary, I've yet to see it, which I got to download Prime to be able to watch that. But I'm sure that I'll find a way to watch the docuseries soon. But yeah, Jack Campbell, hopefully he can ride the wave and be at least at this point with Mrazek there, a good goalie tandem, a good goalie duo, taking about 50% of the games. That being said, we'll see, and I'm just excited. I'm excited for the Leafs, and you mentioned those names, Kossi and Richie, and then Camp has looked pretty good too, coming over from Chicago, right? So that being said, you have guys like Nick Robertson, who, I mean, let's get real here. We didn't see a lot of Nick Robertson last year, and Leaf fans really wanted to see him. I really wanted to see him because they brought him in there 2 years ago in playoffs. He was the first Maple Leaf ever to come into a playoff series, play a playoff game, and never play and hasn't even played a regular season game for the Maple Leafs yet. So that was pretty cool. And he came in with a bang. I think he had a goal that his first game in. He was a dog in the corners fighting for pucks. You can tell he had a fantastic shot. And then his vision was good too. Like, he passed the puck well. He was ready to go. He had jump. He has skill. He has jump. He was a young guy. He was like 18 years old at that point. We're now looking at, an injury or two later for Mr. Robertson, a couple years older, still trying to crack a roster spot. I would like to see him, but hey, I mean, Kase, Camp, Gabriel, all these guys, they do look good, and there's not many roster positions to fill all these guys in, so someone's not going to make the cut. And depending on what the Leafs are going to try to look like, I mean, it would be like, just from my point of view, it would be nice to have a little bit more size and young size, skill, and a little bit more aggression and a little bit more leadership. That being said, I said this last show, I don't want Wayne Simmons being the only guy to drop the gloves on the team when something goes wrong or something goes south, because that's what it kind of seemed like last year. And I know the NHL is changing, but for some reason, Archie, I don't know if you noticed, in the last year, fighting's like slowly starting to make its way back. Yeah. Like, I've seen a lot more scrums and tuffles and stuff in the corner, and I've seen a lot more fights recently, not staged, just literally go in, protect your guys, stand up for yourself, stand up for your team, for your crest, and go drop the gloves. And that's been happening. Whereas, prior to last year, there was a couple, 2-3 years where it was a little, I think the league said, hey, we need to crack down on fighting, and you guys got let's try to push it out of the league. Well, newsflash, hey, there needs to be fighting in hockey. There just is. It's a tough sport. There's a lot of mischief that can happen on the ice, man. There's a lot of stuff you can get away with. There's things that we don't even see on TV or at a live game, whether it's a little butt end or a little whack in the leg or a little hook or whatever, or just the talking shit factor of the NHL. Like, you know what I mean? I think the only other place that they talk shit as much as the NHL would probably be the NFL. And I'm surprised that NFL players don't go at it, because those guys are right in each other's face, just interrogating each other and whatever, right? So anyways, we'll see what happens. We'll see what kind of roster Dubas wants to have for the final look at the Leafs. And I just hope that it's a little bit tougher, and I hope we're a little bit bigger. We know we have a core of young guys, well, not so young anymore, but they're young. They're in their early 20s still, early mid-20s. And we have a core of guys that have that skill set to score you goals, have that skill set to score goals on power plays. They love each other. They're brothers. And now we just need to keep on fitting little puzzle pieces in, which is like the Kase and Camps and Richies and Bunting. And we'll see what plays out. But I'm excited, man. Anything else? What do you think, Arch?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. And about the fighting, I mean, we're in preseason. And I don't know if you caught the highlights of the Minnesota Wild Colorado Avalanche game last night. But
no,
my God, like Minnesota lost 6-4.
Yeah.
But the second period alone, there were 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 penalties in the second period.
Yeah.
Including 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all in one play. Landeskog fighting, filling a guy in. Just like a brutal. It was like just a war, all-out war. This is preseason, and these guys were throwing hooks. Like, I loved it. Like, this is crazy passion that you don't expect out of players during the preseason.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, and watching Landeskog, man, I really wish he was in a Leaf jersey right now. But it's fun, and you're right. The game has definitely picked up the pace to the point where we're starting to see more fights, and like you said too, not planned. Like, these are just guys going hard, and Wayne Simmons is, I think he's going to be that pain in the ass that we want him to be, but with a little support now from guys like Curtis Gabriel, if he makes the lineup, he's going to be that agitator too. And
exactly.
The Leafs definitely need that. I'm really looking forward to it, and hopefully, guys like Austin Matthews will still continue to play his physical game that we saw him show last season too. Coaching perspective, what do you think? Sheldon Keefe, they've extended him 2 years. A lot of people are kind of iffy on that, saying, why didn't they give him 5? Is this another trial, an extension? What some people are suggesting is that they gave him 2 years to kind of get that out of the way, take the distraction off of him, being up at the end of the season, and then basically saying you've got a 2-year window to get past the first round, for fuck's sakes. But what do you think of him as a coach? Do you think this is the right move?
Absolutely, man. Give Sheldon Keefe a chance. We all seen as Leaf fans what he did with the team, how he turned them around when Mike Babcock departed from the Leafs. He had a winning record. Mike Babcock's that season losing record going in. I think after about 6 or 7 games in a row there in 2019 or whatever it was. That's when he got canned there in November or so before he did any more damage. And Sheldon Keefe took over. I like Sheldon Keefe. He lets the guys play. You know what I mean? He lets the star guys play. And he seems like he's a player's coach. He seems like he's good on the bench with everyone. You've seen the docu-series. I haven't, so you probably have a little bit more insight of like kind of who he is behind the scenes rather than publicly informal Mr. Keefe that most Leaf fans know till now. And I think you got to give him a shot, right? And that being said, I think that the window for Shanahan, Dubas, and Sheldon Keefe as a whole management is probably about 2 years long. So that's kind of why I look at it, and I'm like, 2 years seems kind of like that window. Just like you just said before you asked me, Archie, I think that's the plan. Like, if they don't make if they don't make the second round or third round or some type of progression in the right direction here for the franchise in the next couple of years. And obviously this year's going to be a big one. But you know what? You could say do or die. You could say this is a do or die year, but the fact of the matter is that the Leafs have a core group, and most of the core group is still signed for a few more years after this upcoming year. They'll still be together. So you're going to have those chances as they get a little bit older, as they get a little bit more mature, as they learn the NHL game a little bit better. We always say this, listen, 50, what is it? 50, we're on 55 years it would be this season, right? 55 years without a Stanley Cup. Leaf fans are bitter as hell for the matter of that. But I think about things like this. I think that the core group it took for Tampa Bay to win a cup, it took about, 7 years or something? 7, 8 years for them to win that cup? Maybe even longer. Kucherov and Hedman and stuff, they came in a couple years after Stamkos did, but still, their core group of guys, it didn't take them 3, 4, 5, 6 years. It took them a while to gather it, to learn, and then to win Stanley Cups. Alexander Ovechkin, Backstrom, Oshie, John Carlson, all these guys been together for a long time too. And it took them years. It took Ovechkin, the greatest goal scorer in our league at the present day. How long? 12 years in the league to win a Stanley Cup, whatever it was. You know what I mean? So that being said, we can jump on this do or die bandwagon or do or die train for the Toronto Maple Leafs. No. This needs to happen. This needs to happen. But rightfully so. These guys are out there. They're playing hard. I know that there's been a couple little conflicts and a little bit of turmoil and a little bit of bad blood with, some of the contract signings, a little bit of things like Mitch Marner going 0 for 18 and goals and playoffs, and Austin Matthews not putting up points in the playoffs like he did in the regulars. Listen, I've heard it all, okay? We've heard it all. But my point is, listen, the team still has the core together. We're mixing around puzzle pieces to try to find that Stanley Cup caliber fucking connection and that chemistry. And hopefully it's this year. But I don't think it's a do or die year yet. I think it's a do or die year when Austin Matthews contracts it up. And then the year after Marner's contract is up. I think Matthews' contract is the first one that'll be up before any of them. Right? I think him and Nylander are like neck and neck for the same fucking time frame about being free agents or whatever before being signed. So That being said, when that comes and it's that year, it's a contract year for a guy like Austin Matthews, that's when it's a fucking do or die. That's when I'm saying that's do or die for the management, for all the players on the Leafs, for the Leafs organization in general. You know what I mean? So I'm excited for this season. Yes, I am butthurt from last year and the playoff performance the Leafs had. We all are. I'm still bitter about it. Trust me. I almost didn't even want to watch hockey this year. I still don't look at the regular season the same as I did before because I had such high hopes going into last year. The biggest pedestal I've ever put the Leafs on, and to get outed by Montreal like we did and the way we performed, it really, really deflated me and what I believed in a team in the regular season. Let's go. I hope that the Leafs have a great year. I hope that the puzzle pieces and the guys that we brought in are great assets and great acquisitions to the team. I hope they bond. I hope there's chemistry. And God damn it, I just want to see them get past the first round and see what happens after that. You know what I mean?
Yep. And that's the thing, right? Like, even, again, watching the series, after they're eliminated, Kyle Dubas comes out and says he's never seen a team more devastated to lose than what he saw in the change room after that collapse with Montreal. I honestly, in comparing the two, I honestly feel like that one stung a little more than the Boston meltdown. Like, I think that Montreal being up 3-1 in the series and coming back to tie the games and force overtime and then lose in overtime because of boneheaded passes, or just we couldn't find the back of the net, and Carey Price, he was stopping everything when he needed to. It was just the fact that there should have been no reason why. We finished top of the league, like top of the division. We won the division. I mean, I get it. As they joke around in the documentary, they called it the Bob and Doug McKenzie division, referencing to the Canadians and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I get it. And, people say, but you didn't face any real NHL teams, as they called them, or whatever. But it wasn't an easy division, as most people seem to think. Vancouver had a bit of a hard time because of the COVID and how it affected their season and the games being rescheduled for them. I think at one point they had 14 guys out of the lineup because of COVID. That's a lot. But I mean, in a sense, and I know we kind of went back and forth on this, I'm not overly angry they didn't win. I feel like Tampa winning kind of solidified for them. They won the 2 cups in the kind of screwed up COVID years. So it kind of feels like it's fitting. They proved that COVID didn't stop them the first one, and they managed to keep that together and win it again.
Yeah,
so
100%.
I don't mind that. I still, like I said, I don't know that we're going to be, as Leaf fans, I don't know that we're going to be lucky enough to see them win 2, let alone hopefully 1 cup in our lifetime. But I just want to see them win 1. And if I'm going to see it, I want it to be under normal circumstances, on a full regular season, regular divisions, no bullshit, no salary cap loopholes, no garbage. I want the Leafs to win a cup under the most difficult of circumstances that a regular season has to offer. So if that means sacrificing this past season, which sucked, it's, I'd rather that. And I'd rather them come out this year and show more. And I honestly think that the plan when they got Foligno last season, and again, you'll see this in the documentary, is that you feel bad for him. He came in kind of at a shitty time, gets hurt, and then it's just downhill from there. The guy just, it wasn't working for him.
Yeah.
But you can't blame him. You can't say, oh, Foligno was a waste. It was a gamble. He was a rental, and it didn't work out.
Yeah.
Joe Thornton, a lot of people are upset about it. He worked out. I mean, it wasn't that bad. He got involved. He was playing on the top line with two of the fastest players in the NHL. Not exactly easy to keep up, but he was still making those heads-up plays, amazing passes, and again, the presence in the change room. Pretty big deal for that team. So now, as you see the players maturing, you've got, Austin Matthews isn't an 18-year-old kid anymore, and neither is Mitch Marner, and neither is Willie Nylander. And I think, and I've been on Nylander's back for a while now, I think this year we're going to see a monster in William Nylander. I have a feeling it's going to be next level from him. Austin Matthews, I think, is just going to keep on playing the way he's played. He hasn't disappointed at all. I don't care what anybody says. Mitch Marner, my one thing I want to see with Mitch Marner is shoot a little more and don't try to deke your way into the net. He gets way too close in on goalies, and it ends up in a failed opportunity sometimes, most of the time. So I'd like to see a little more connecting on a passing perspective or shooting from a distance. But we're going to see a different power play. I kind of saw them do the same hold off and let the guy skate it in, and I was kind of annoyed at that. But the power play worked well for Bunting. I mean, he got 3. So I feel like we're going to see hopefully a better structure in their power play, a little more aggression in it. And to be quite honest, I think a lot of people that were all freaked out and paranoid about losing Zach Hyman, I think they're going to quickly forget about Zach Hyman. I really do. What do you think about that?
Before we get into Zach Hyman, I just want to touch back on a few things. So one of them was Joe Thornton. I feel for the guys. Foligno came in, he got hurt, and just never really recovered, right? And it was a bad time of the year. It was at the end of the year, and he had an aggravating injury. He tried to come back. He tried his best. It didn't work out. The cards weren't dealt to him the way that he planned. You know what I mean? And it was a gamble. As far as Joe Thornton, man, Leaf fans, you got to remember, Joe Thornton came in. He looked great. Then he took that injury and he cracked his ribs or whatever it was, and came back. He was just never the same. Couldn't catch his breath. And rib injuries are no joke, man. I broke my ribs before. They friggin' hurt, and they take a long time to heal. So his breathing at that level, and being 42 years old or whatever, 41, that's insane. And you can't blame Joe Thornton for going out there and at least trying his best and recovering, because broken ribs, it's not like they can go surgically repair it. You got to just kind of let that stuff heal on its own. And it takes months for that to happen. So that was my thoughts on that. There was one more thing that you mentioned, but I'm not going to waste my time trying to think about it. Let's go to Zach Hyman then. Zach Hyman, I like this. I like what we've done. I like the little the acquisitions that Dubas has made, sneaky little things. You know what? At the end of the day, I really like Kyle Dubas and how he goes about his business and what he does behind the scenes. And these little pickups and little trades that you just hear, oh, we've signed Kemp and Kase. Who are these players really? Well, hey, man, Toronto Maple Leafs are a great organization. They have great scouting staff and good reporting. And look at in the preseason, a lot of Leaf fans, including myself and Archie, like what we see. And when you have a kid like Bunting come in, that it's not just the way. It's not just him scoring a hat trick. It's the way he scored that hat trick. Dirty goals, tips in front of the net about 10 feet, 12 feet out, getting a stick on the puck from defenseman point shots. We need goals like that. We need guys like that are going to stand in front of the net, go to the dirty areas of the net, and tip pucks and deflect pucks in the right direction. There's only a couple guys that can do it. And I'll tell you what, Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner and Willie Nylander are not going to be those guys in front of the net doing that most of the time because they're the shooters. They're on the outside, walking in, taking the shots. You need the Wayne Simmons guys, Zach Hyman guys that are going to clean up the front of the net. You know what I mean? And I just love that. Anything else you want to add, Archie? That's basically the 2 cents on what I wanted to put in there.
We've got tonight, the Leafs have the blue versus white game. I don't think that's started just yet. So they'll basically set up, you've got your team set up, broken up into 2 completely different teams. And you'll kind of get an idea of who plays well with who. And it gives them a bit of a chance to put together some other lines. So from what I'm seeing here at practice this morning, they had Richie Matthews Marner, Mikheyev Tavares Nylander, Kopachka, Seni Spezza, Engvall, that Atkinson or Durachka or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive player. I like this kid.
Okay.
And Anderson, and then they had Riley and Brody, Muzzin Hall, Kivel Halme, Hollowell, Rubens, and Manel. No idea who these guys are. Obviously, call-ups. And Campbell and Colgren on that side. And then group 2, which is the one that I'm going to really be paying attention to here, Robertson, Kerfoot, and Simmons, Bunting, Semyonov, and Hosang. Hosang, another very good addition.
You got to look out for Hosang, 100%.
Yep, he's on that PTO. I'm hoping they find a way to make it work. It was funny because listening to him, he said, I want to play in Toronto on any capacity, like even if he's the water boy, like he doesn't care. He wants to be
nice.
There. So it's awesome because now you're starting to see more and more pajama boy pictures coming out of all these players who grew up Leaf fans. So it's kind of cool to see it.
Yeah.
Then they have Gusev, Kempf, and Kashe, and Brooks, Amadio, and Gabriel. And then on defense, they had Sandin and Biega, Krall and Liljegren, Dahlstrom and Dermott, and Hoffenmayer and Duzak. And then you got Mrazek and Hutchinson in net. So a lot of guys, they're trying to see how these guys are going to pan out, who they're going to keep, who they're going to send to the Marlies. That second group is just a clusterfuck of just like, let's see what happens with these players playing together.
You see, Archie, there's even 2 names like Hosang. There's an NHL caliber guy still trying to find his way, a young kid, and then Joey Anderson. There's another guy, turned some heads. He has NHL experience, came from the Devils. You know what I mean? It is going to be hard to make the roster spot, but that's what we need. We need roster spots to be taken by guys that, I love the competition. That's great, and it's great competition. We have a lot of skilled, talented guys. And I just can't wait to see what the end product is for the Leafs, who's going to be on the ice opening night. And that being said, I'd lost my train of thought there, but yeah, just opening night in general, man, it's going to be so interesting this year, and the hype built around it is going to be crazy. Just I wonder what the capacity of the Scotiabank Arena is going to be. I don't know what it is right now, but I bet you they'll release that information soon, right?
So right now they're sticking with the 50% capacity to a max of 10,000. So roughly, I think Scotiabank Arena holds about just under 19,000 in and around there. So, it'll be a decent number. However, Montreal's been given the green light. They're going full capacity.
Exactly. My point, right? So there's some NHL teams that have said they can have full capacity. That being said, we are still 2 weeks. I mean, basically 2 weeks, a little less than 2 weeks away from puck drop, and then anything can come out in a statement. If people are fully vaccinated, blah, 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 blah. You have your vaccine receipts, passports, proof of vaccination. You can come into the game. So who knows what the capacity limit is right now. And I think that with 50% capacity, you already need to have a receipt of a vaccine passport or whatever, unless you're under probably 12 years old or something.
Yeah.
So
those lines.
So that'll be good. There's one more topic I just want to touch on before we continue on, because I know Archie probably has something else to go. But that friggin' guy, man, with the gesture against the colored player, man, you don't need it. We don't need that in the game. I don't know if you've seen Wayne Simmonds come out and lay a statement yesterday. Yep. And it just happened to be on the Truth and Reconciliation Day for Aboriginal people, and recognizing that. So, hatred is out there, guys. There's racism still among us. Unfortunately, it's there, and I feel for that. I feel for that just because a guy like Wayne Simmonds, he grew up in my area, Scarborough guy, and I still remember. I think it was close to about 8 or 9 years ago when he was in Philadelphia and he was doing a shootout and someone threw a banana on the ice. Yeah. And there is some cowards out there and some people that there's bad apples everywhere. And we're trying to get rid of all that, especially not just sports, just around the world. And I just wanted to touch on the topic just because I was so disgusted and embarrassed. You know what I mean? Like this is hockey is generally like a white sport, if you say, and always you want to bring more diversity into the sport, and in any sport for that matter. And I remember Wayne Simmonds yesterday coming out and saying, I don't even know if I'd want my kids to play hockey for what I've had to go through as a player myself, growing up in the leagues and going through the NHL, and even adults acting like children and racism and shit like that he has to go through just because of his color. Like, it's just not right. People are people. People bleed the same blood. We're all earthlings, for Christ's sake. And I hope that the movement, I hope that racism just fully ends one day. You know what I mean? We're still in progress and process of it ending, but you know what I mean? There's no need for that in our world and in sports and just in general for Earth. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to say, I hope that player does get suspended from that league. That gesture was uncalled for. That was crossing the line. I mean, any type of racial gesture is crossing the line. And I'm sorry, but he needs to be the example for how to move forward and how to deal with this shit. And he should be banned. And that's why I'm totally on the side of these players that are dealing with this. And the guy that it happened to, I'm sorry, the name is like, I forget his name, but he's in a minor league or whatever, in Europe or Ukraine or something.
Yeah, Ukraine.
And the only way that this stuff gets fixed is if we show like there's no tolerance at all for this. And the little fine that the league handed out this kid, I think it was like $2,200 or something like that, and he was missing like 13 games or whatever. That is not right. And I stand by the community that is supporting the player that this happened to. I stand by anyone that player that did it needs to be fucking banned from at least the league and sent into some kind of program or something, some kind of educational program about what to say or what not to say. I mean, when you're an adult and you're still doing shit like that, I mean, it's racism at its finest. And that, like, we can't have that in the league. We can't have that let alone in the league, in the world. And get rid of them. That's just my take on it, my 2 cents, Archie. And I'm pretty sure you're no, I'm not pretty sure. I'm positive that you're definitely on the side that I'm on, and as well as everyone should be. So that's just my 2 cents on that.
100%. And that's actually what the next topic was going to be. And sadly, I'm not sure who made the decision or where the logic came to make the decision. They suspended him for 3 + 10, so a total of 13 games. And it says if he was also fined $1,800 US. I know these guys aren't making NHL salaries, but like really $1,800 US, and could face an additional suspension if he refuses to pay the fine. So he even has the option to refuse to pay the fine. It's caused a lot of attention, a lot of people in different leagues, especially in the NHL as well, to come out and basically say this is ridiculous. They need to reconsider the fine. They need to reconsider the punishment. I think at this point you're right. There's no fine. There's no fine.
Tolerance.
It should be a zero tolerance. You're done. You're out. Like there's no room for that anywhere in sports this day and age. And it's ridiculous because they almost would have been better off not even saying anything than to make this ridiculously stupid argument of a fine or suspension. And the guy he did it to is a former Coyotes prospect. His name is actually Jalen Smirik. Not a high caliber player. Nobody's ever heard of this kid.
Yeah.
But regardless, it doesn't matter who you are. There is no reason, no excuse, no nothing for it. And the gesture was just blatantly pathetic and disgusting to see. When I saw the video, I was like, are you kidding me, man? Like,
yeah, I didn't see the video until like 2 days ago. And this was this happened almost a week ago now. And I seen the video surface there 2 days ago. And what a fucking asshole, man. Like,
dick move.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And there's no place in the game for that. There's no place in the world for that. I don't even know what to say. Like you're looking at other sports, basketball, you're looking at NFL, you're looking at the diversity of these other sports. And unfortunately, like hockey is the majority is like, white people. And like, I don't want it to be. And I hope that no one wants it to be. I just want the best skilled talent of anybody to be on the ice showing what they have, what skill they have, what talent they have to be there. Doesn't matter about the color of your skin. I'm hoping for the day. I mean, look at the Olympics. I think China is in the Olympic, right?
Yeah.
For hockey. I would love to see Chinese players play in the NHL, man. Like, I don't know if there's ever been a full Chinese player. I'm not sure. But I hope that sooner than later, I hope within the next decade, within next year for that matter, that we have more diversity and more equality and everything that's happening with our sport. And I would love to see it. I want to progress in the right direction. And it just makes it more enjoyable for everyone to watch. And you know what? Not have this stigma of it's the white hockey culture. No. It's just hockey culture is what it is. That's what it's always been. And that's what it was for me growing up. So where I grew up in Toronto and played hockey with, I had all sorts of different diversity on my team. Okay. And it was great. There's been some great talent and it's been enjoyable to watch. And I hope that the NHL soon has a little bit more color in them for sure. Remember Anson Carter, man? Anson Carter, I used to love watching him play back in the day, man. Team Canada, Chris Stewart, Anthony Stewart, Wayne Simmons, PK Subban. These guys are making names. Nazem Kadri. Let's go, man. There's no place in the friggin' game for that kind of cowardly act. Like, get it out of here. We can't tolerate that stuff. Be an adult. Be a good fucking human being. Get that shit out of here.
Yeah, and as we talked about it, in addition to the game developing and things changing, another milestone, if you want to call it, in the OHL, Kirsten Welsh became the league's first female official to officiate a semi-pro hockey game.
Yeah.
Again, another stepping stone. We saw that happen in the NFL. We saw it happen in the NBA. So this is big. And in my months that I was working over at Scotiabank Arena, that was something that became a thing a couple years ago, where basically the NHL's officials dressing room, it used to be the men's officials and women's officials, and they ended up having two separate rooms because they said, we got to have the separation between the two. But they gave the women's officials a dressing room before we even had any. It's there. It was ready to go for other sports as well. But just knowing that, hey, it's coming, and it's a matter of time before we start to see that happening more and more. Again, big development for professional sports, for women in sports. So it's good to see that as well. And then you mentioned China. And as you mentioned it, I remember reading an article, and I just pulled it back up. Sadly, the IIHF president is suggesting that the Chinese men's hockey team may be excluded from the Olympics because of the group. Well, because of the group they're in, they stand no chance. And they're basically saying that it doesn't do any good for China, for hockey, for international hockey, for anybody to see them get destroyed 15-0, which is likely what's going to happen when they play a team like Canada and the US.
You know what? That's a very touchy kind of topic right there. I mean, I can understand where they even
get a shot.
Yeah, I can understand kind of where they're coming from in a weird way. I mean, it's still good to see your country go out, put on a jersey, and play a different sport that, isn't the biggest sport in the country. But I can see where the Chinese president or the leader is coming from. You know what I mean? It's just I don't know. Hockey is hockey, and there are the stronger teams, and they've always been. We always say them: USA, Canada, Sweden, Finland, Russia. So it's hard to go against guys like that at that caliber of teams and countries for that sport, because it's been around those countries forever. So I get where they're coming from, but regardless of even that, I would still like to see Chinese be in there, and they are a host city, and it would be really cool, right? So,
and that's the thing. So they're basically saying that they're arguing that it's somewhat penalizing them for being insufficient to the sporting standards. They're saying that China's currently ranked 32 in men's world rankings, whereas the women's team has been deemed more competitive, so that they won't be impacted. And they're saying that the question is basically, are they at that level, right? Like the same reason why I'm going to say Italy, because that's where I'm from, why Italy doesn't have a hockey team. We've seen them in the past, but they would just get hammered, like destroyed. And there's a lot of players who played on the Italian team who had NHL experience, but it's just not at the same level. Like you'll never have a solid team coming from Italy to compete against teams like Russia, Canada, Finland, US, Sweden, So now they're saying if China is in fact deemed out, then they would more than likely be replaced by Norway based on rankings. And Norway used to be a team that used to be in there.
Yeah.
So it would suck, though, as a host nation to not have China in it. It just feels weird, right? So I think they're giving them time to improve and raise to that standard. I'm not sure they're going to be able to do that quick.
Yeah, I mean,
So
it'll be tough. It'll be tough, but
it'll be really tough because, and like you said, I don't know that there's ever been a fully Chinese, Korean, any of that sorts hockey player. I think Jordan Tutu may have been half Japanese, I believe, maybe, or Paul Correa. Sorry, not Tutu.
Paul Correa, yeah. Jordan Tutu was Aboriginal,
right? Yeah. So Paul Correa had that half
Korean,
I believe.
Yeah.
But to have a full out, I don't think we've ever seen at the NHL level. I really don't.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
It'll be tough. And I'm not sure how many play internationally, if there's any even in the KHL, because that would be your next closest competitive league out there.
Yeah.
So it's kind of shitty, but I know that they were saying, it does suck for nations to get hammered, and it doesn't do anything for the countries when they're getting destroyed. But that being said, maybe they should look to realign how they do things. Maybe they should have in the Olympics an A division and a B division, where you have your more competitive nations in your A, your less competitive and less developed sporting nations in your Division B, and you have a Division A champion and a Division B champion. Make it a little better, and then every year, your top 2 teams from B get promoted to your A division for the next international competition, and your worst 2 in the A get dropped down to B. Maybe something.
Yeah, that's an interesting structure format, Arch, but I don't like.
It'll be tough.
The
right?
Olympics is the Olympics, right? It's just it's the best of the best of the best of your country,
exactly. And the fact that it's every 2 years, every 4 years?
Every 4 years, winter. Every 4 years, summer. So it's every 2 years there's an Olympic. It's either summer or winter, right?
Yeah. So you look at it, it's like your best team today may not be your best team in 4 years from now. You know what I mean? So
exactly.
Where unless you're in a country that develops the program, such as the teams that we're used to seeing, right? Yeah. And you also don't want to have a 4-team tournament. Like you can't. You got to have some sort of competition. Is this where they start to look at maybe looking into again, maybe saying we have Canada, USA, your powerhouse teams as they call them, and then a team of all the best other, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard.
I don't know, man.
That work, right? And it sucks because Olympics are representative of a country, of a nation. So I feel bad.
You know what? At the end of the day, this is all televised, right? And all over the world, the Chinese and everything. We're kind of specifically on the topic of Chinese right now in China. But even I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago, maybe Washington and St. Louis or whatever, they went to China and they played a couple hockey games. It was their first. It wasn't even preseason. It was like 2 regular season games that they played for points, and trying to develop different areas and gradually bring them into the culture of hockey and say, hey, this is a great sport. Like, maybe you should gravitate towards it, and hopefully we can influence young Chinese players to be up and coming, potential NHL superstars. So I like the fact that the NHL at least does that. They go around and they do these different destinations in different countries just to kind of influence the game on others in other countries. So at least they're doing that. And then the development of the systems and the different things that are going on in their leagues is up to the country itself. I know USA is USA, but our superstar on our hockey team, Austin Matthews, is from Arizona. And I don't know how many different hockey rinks there are in Arizona where Austin Matthews lived. But I can tell you this, there wasn't nearly as much as anywhere else that has snow and ice or outdoor rinks or whatever. Like, you're in a desert, and Austin Matthews came out of nowhere and on top of that, he is American, but Austin Matthews is actually half Mexican too. So that being said, I mean, anything is possible, and all we want to do is just expand the game, grow the game to a bigger, better final destination place for culture and for diversity, right? So hopefully it gets there soon, and we're building towards that now. Yeah.
So I apologize to any viewers who are watching who are not in agreement with what I said about Chinese players, because I just did some research here. There's some shocking names on this list of players that have Chinese background, ethnicity. A few just to kind of blow my mind because I should have known this. So Matt Dumba's on this list. He's apparently half Filipino, half German.
Yep.
But classified Canadian. I can't believe I forgot Kayla Yamamoto.
Yeah, Yamamoto, yeah.
Edmonton. He is Japanese. 100% Japanese. Born in America, but Japanese.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Didn't even clue in.
Awesome.
There is, where is he? Dylan Sakura, Chicago Blackhawks, Japanese.
Yeah.
Didn't know that. Josh Ho-Sang, hello, Ho-Sang is Chinese and Caribbean, Canadian born, but Chinese background.
Wow.
And
see that? A little bit of Reese brings up, unfortunately, the topic that this conversation started with is, it's crazy and it's disgusting, but it brings us into another conversation of there are players in the NHL that we know the names. People that watch hockey know the names, but you don't know. You can't look at me and be like, what is his ethnicity? Exactly. You don't know if I'm Italian. You don't know if I'm part German or Hawaiian or whatever the heck I am. So that being said, it's cool to do a little bit of research and see the different diversities and different countrymen on these NHL rosters. So that's really cool, man.
Yeah, and then there was also Devin Sadaguchi, a name that we all know, Japanese.
Yeah.
So a lot of Japanese players, like players of that Japanese. Korea was in fact Japanese and Scottish.
Okay, yeah. So sorry, I thought Korea was Korean, but I guess because the name sounds a little bit similar, Korean. That's maybe why I thought.
I actually thought that as well. That was my bad too. But Nick Robertson,
yes,
half Filipino.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. Like I would have never guessed that. Yeah. So there's a lot out there that a lot of people wouldn't know who may have been born in Canada, but they would be potentially eligible to play for, as you might call it, their parent nation. Which,
exactly.
I mean, obviously, if you're a kid born in Canada, you want to represent Canada for several reasons. If you've watched them play, you grow up cheering for Team Canada. Your dream is to wear that Canada leaf on your chest. But
of course,
also a lot harder to make the Canadian national team with all the talent that's out there. So if the opportunity presents itself to represent your parents,
like Japan or something, then why the hell not go? Fuck yeah, I agree.
Like, hey man, if Italy had a team, Jason Spezza, his father was born in Italy, so he would be eligible to play for the Italian national team. Great player. I'm not sure that he'd be able to make it on Team Canada's roster because of his age with all the talent they've already got. So if I'm Jason Spezza and Italy says, hey, we want you here, fuck yeah, I'm going. Why not?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's the Olympics, right? Like you get to represent something that you don't get to do every year. And if you can at least do it once in your career, it's an accomplishment. It's something that not everybody can say they've done.
Not to mention too, Archie, 8 years since NHL was even in the Olympics, right? So that's huge.
100%. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I mean, I think it's in beginning of February is where it starts through to pretty much almost the end. So there's still some time to see how that goes and I can't wait to see what Team Canada's roster and even Team USA. I'm really pumped to see what rosters these two nations put together because it is going to be probably one of the most talented North American rosters you'll ever see between Canada and the US. I can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait either, man. We'll definitely start discussing those topics later on down the road. Probably me and Archie will probably get into that. I would say late December, January, we'll start really pushing the teams together there because the camps will start probably mid-January for sure to get the guys, the rosters going, team tryouts, stuff like that. So
absolutely. And one of the topics other than the Leafs and the Olympics here, so they're talking about the Calder Trophy this year. Our boy Austin Matthews won it in his rookie season.
Yeah.
The odds right now are heavily favored Cole Caulfield, who technically last season was not his rookie season because he didn't really play full time, and I don't know what the rules are to be eligible, but he is eligible to win or to be at least considered this year. If he were to win, he would be the first Montreal Canadian to do so since Ken Dryden in 1971-72.
Yeah.
And the next guy closest is they're saying Trevor Zegras, who also has
I was gonna say it's got to be Zegras for sure.
Yeah, so he's got a pretty good shot. The other guys,
I bet you Byfield's up there too, maybe.
He's quite further down. Ahead of him, you've got Alex Nedeljkovic, who was the goalie, who was up for, I believe, a Vezina this year too. I think he was up for an award in the NHL this past season. Spencer Knight's up there, Marco Rossi. So it's an interesting list, but Caulfield and Zegras lead the way with the top two, with everybody else kind of falling way behind. Outside of that, some more news. The Canucks made some big splashes between yesterday and today, if you want to call it. Elias Pettersson, 3 years at $7.35 million per season, so about 21-ish million, 22. And Quinn Hughes, 6 years at 7.85. So big money on these two guys. A lot of people were saying Pettersson should have taken a hometown discount, if you want to call it. Other people are saying, why should he? He's still young. Why would you? I agree. Why would you? You're a young, talented player. I feel like that hometown discount is something that an older player considers when he wants to stay with his team, to be, competitive and to try to win a cup with the team that he's at. But for these young guys, like anybody who would say Mitch Marner should have taken a hometown discount, why would he? If the Leafs didn't give Marner the money they gave him, he would have got it somewhere else, believe it or not. Can't argue that. He's a talented player. It didn't fit in, and it kind of screwed the Leafs and handcuffed them. They're going to be a cap team for God knows how long. But why would you? Why would you take a hometown discount? Would you expect Austin Matthews to say, hey, guys, I'll take $5 million? No, because he'll get $11 million anywhere else who can afford him. Why would they? So what do you think? How do you feel about this whole hometown discount thing, and when a player should consider it and when he should just be like, well, fuck that? Why?
You nailed it right on the head just with that question, Archie. I mean, hometown discount is like you've been on this team for 10 years or something, and it's, it was your first drafted team. You got drafted to this team as a rookie and blah, blah, blah. And you love your brothers and your core guys, and you believe in the team still, stuff like that. I don't really need to say no more. I just think that when there's money to be had, to get the money, because money doesn't come as easily as people think. And when the money's there for the taking, get as much of it as you can. Right. So that being said, I don't know what the hell's going on, Archie. Like Elias Pettersson, 3 years. I like the Quinn Hughes. That is a fucking.
Yeah, you lock him in.
Are you kidding me? You just got Quinn Hughes for what, 7.5?
7.85.
Okay, 7 point. I love that number. I think that's perfect. Like that's almost taking a discount for a player of his caliber. Okay, because Quinn Hughes is a great defenseman. He's going to be good for a long time. 6 years, that's something under 8. Is such an upside for the Vancouver Canucks for a defenseman like that. He can score, he can hit, he's a playmaker, he's your number one power play guy. He's going to be there a long time. I like that. Elias Pettersson, 3 years. Even 4 years, I'd be like, yo, that's not what is with these players? And some of these guys are signing these 3-year, 2-year contracts. Like, I don't get it. Elias Pettersson's one of their better players, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, I think what happened is that he got, looking at here, 21 points in 26 games, was injury plagued last season. So is it risky 3 years, or was this them saying, hey, we want you here, but we can't really commit long-term until we know you can play? I mean, we know he can play, but can he last? How's his stamina? How's the injuries going to be? So, yeah, 3 years leaves a window that, again, you could be paying him prime top dollar in 3 years when his contract is up, versus Quinn Hughes, you've now locked him in for 6 years. And in doing so, now the last big name, if you want to call it, who's still left unemployed at the moment,
Brady Tkachuk.
So what does that do to him? He was making $3.4 million the last 3 seasons. So where do you value him now after seeing these signings? You got to think Ottawa's got to spend the money here. Like, what do they do?
Dude, sign. Brady Tkachuk. Are you, like, if you're Ottawa, are you fucking crazy? Like, just sign that kid for as much money as he wants, man. He's a fucking monster. He's got skill. He'll drop the gloves. He's pesky. He gets under your skin. He's talkative. He has leadership qualities. Like, look at him. I would love to have Brady Tkachuk on my team. Like he's a type of player I would want to build my team around. He reminds me of I don't know. I would throw the fucking C on him, man. I swear to God. Like, take it off Shabbat. Who's the C right now? Shabbat?
So that's the thing. And I'm looking at Ottawa's lineup. Shabbat has the A.
So there's no captain yet.
There's no captain. So there's no captain. So this is the perfect thing. You offer him the C, and not a hometown discount, but you can get him. The highest paid player on the Sens right now is Shabbat, $8 million. They don't have an Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, William Nylander, John Tavares.
I would sign Brady. If I was Ottawa, I would sign Brady Tkachuk fucking 6 years at fucking $10 million and just say, will you do that? Like, seriously, that's what I would do. That's the kind of player.
They've got $21.5 million in cap space.
Yeah.
So you throw 10 at him, you still got $11 million to play with, and you've got a full team. Their highest paid forward is Drake Batherson, making 4.9.
Crazy.
6 years. So it's like,
crazy.
If you're Ottawa, you're in a rebuild. You shit the bed the last year or two.
Yeah.
And Thomas Chabot is your highest paid player as a defenseman at $8 million.
Yeah.
And you went out and got Matt Murray, and you signed him till 23-24 at $6.2 million. So you're going to commit to a solid, NHL caliber goalie that can win you a cup, but you're not going to go and lock up Brady Tkachuk. Yeah.
And you're gonna lock up Brady. You're gonna have to spend some money on Stützle in 2 years too. You know what I mean? So lock up these young guys, man. I don't know what Ottawa is doing. You're already a franchise hurting for star caliber players. You got them. You've developed them. You have these kids. Sign them up. Let's go, man.
And and there hasn't even been any sort of talks or rumors about what kind of a deal they're even talking about or working on in Ottawa. So does it get to a point where he says, well, then I want out? I don't know.
How about we trade Mitch Marner for Brady Tkachuk, buddy?
Ooh. I had crazily said that last season for the other Tkachuk.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. They should offer him a long-term, even if give him a max 8-year deal at $8 million. You're at Thomas Chabot money. You've locked him in for 8 years. He's only 22. 8 years puts him at 30. That could be his prime. You know what I mean? But you're getting him for 8 years. And he can play. He's got the skill. I don't know what they're waiting for with this guy, but I'd be locking this guy down ASAP.
100%. He brings a full game, like a full NHL fucking type of game, the exact game that a leader needs, that every team needs in a leader. He'll fight, he'll hit, he'll score goals, he passes well, he's power play guy, he's loud on the ice, he's loud on the bench. You know what I mean? He looks like he likes to have fun. Come on, man, because you got to sign that kid.
Yeah, they definitely do, because otherwise you're going to have Buffalo 2.0 in Ottawa. And Ottawa fans are already pissed at how ownership has been the last few years. And they don't, any Ottawa Senators fan will also tell you they hate where the arena is located. Apparently it's in a really shitty spot in Ottawa.
Oh, it is. I've been. It's not fun. It's right off the fucking highway, 20 minutes or so, 20-minute cab ride from the city. It's ridiculous,
it's shitty
man.
Venue, shitty location,
and then to get out of that fucking place, it's literally only an in and an out. It's one it's one access point. It's just ridiculous there, man. I don't understand.
I feel like this season, given how things go, I'd like to make the road trip to Ottawa to catch a game there.
Let's go. Let's
So
go.
I'm down. I
Me
want
and
to do
you.
two things. Two things we want to do. I'd like us to catch a game in Ottawa,
Yeah.
and I'd like us to catch a game in Buffalo.
Okay.
That'll be, like, hey, if Toronto happens, I'm definitely not paying full pop for tickets, but if Toronto happens, we'll go. But I definitely want to do Ottawa, Buffalo, and hey, if possible, even Montreal.
Yeah.
Just I want to see what it's like, the atmosphere. I've been to Montreal, and as much as I hate the Habs, I got to give it to them. They know the crowd is nuts. Like,
Yeah.
have you ever seen a Montreal game?
Oh, I've never been to a Montreal game, but I know very well what it's like in the not the Gardens. What is it now? The Bell Center. Yeah. It's intense for sure.
It's next level. They are loud, proud, and just crazy, hardcore Habs fans. Like Leaf fans are Leaf fans, and we love our Leafs, no doubt. But man, the pride that comes with being a Montreal Canadiens fan is on a whole new level, and it is intense. It is a lot of French-speaking, hardcore Montreal Canadian fans.
Yeah.
In Toronto, you could argue, anybody will always argue, especially if you've been to a game. The suits, they're there. You see them everywhere. Over the years, you've seen it kind of change a little bit, as things start to get more exciting. You start to see more Leaf jerseys in the lower bowl, but the suits are there. There's a lot of black and gray down in the lower bowl at Scotiabank Arena.
Yeah.
In Montreal, there's a shit ton of red. But when the Leafs are in town, I'd say there's a 40% blue margin in there of Leaf fans.
Yeah.
But it's intense, man. In Montreal, they love their hockey, and I would even go, if Quebec got a team, I would definitely want to go and see Montreal versus Quebec.
Yeah, that would be cool. I'd be down.
Like, it would be a hell of a game to watch. So yeah, I'm hoping that the opportunity is there for us to be able to catch games this year in other arenas, and see how they are and see what the atmosphere is like. I heard Buffalo is extremely fun. Definitely cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, there's still been no progression on Jack Eichel. Nothing there. Beginning of the season is around the corner. It's coming up pretty quick. For anybody who is watching that blue and white game, I was wrong when I said it hadn't started. They're actually in the third period right now. And I think they reset the score each period. So I think after the second, it was 4-4. And now in the third, it is currently 3-2 for the white team. Austin Matthews is not playing in this little scrimmage game. But they're going hard. I've got it playing in the background, and both teams are really pressing. They're going hard, both trying to score some nice goals. So I'm excited. Even watching this blue and white game, like, I'm just excited to see game one of the season where it kicks off. And once that first game, I know it's only the first game. Everybody says, oh, it's early on. Who cares? I feel like that first game is a very big thing. It kind of sets the pace, sets the tone, and gives everybody a feel of what's to expect. If you get blown out, it's one thing. If you lose a tough game, it's another. But I feel like winning that first game is just, let's go. It gets things started. It gets things on a good note. So if I'm not mistaken, I feel like this happens every year. The Leafs start off against Montreal.
Yes, they do.
And is it here in Toronto? Do you know?
Not totally sure. But I know it's next one, not this upcoming Wednesday, the Wednesday after.
Yeah. So the Wednesday after, the 13th, it's in Toronto.
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock next Wednesday, Toronto, Montreal. Wow. And then they travel to Ottawa for a game the next night.
Okay.
And then they're off. And then again, Ottawa comes to Toronto. It's just, wow, it looks like there's going to be a lot of traveling already right off the hop. So yeah, next Wednesday, first game of the season, Toronto, Montreal.
Yep.
That's exciting. Really exciting. Oh, and I forgot, because of the Olympics, the whole schedule's compressed, right? So there's going to be a lot of hockey this year.
Yep.
Crammed into those few months, because then we get that big break in February. Ooh, boy.
Be a tough schedule for all the hockey teams this year, but everyone else is going to have to do that, play with fire, and see how it goes.
Oh, and for the first time in a long time, the season does not end against Ottawa or Montreal. We actually end at home against the good old Boston Bruins.
Beautiful. Let's go.
I am curious to see where we will be. Real quick here. How do you think the Leafs do this season? Premature predictions, but what do you think? I mean, we don't even know.
I think that they'll. Man, I think they're going to make playoffs. I'm not sure. I don't think they're going to lead the division or anything like that. I really can't see it right now, just because Florida scares me, and Boston scares me, and
right.
You know
And
what
for
I mean?
anybody who forgot,
Tampa Bay.
For anybody who forgot, we are going back to the Atlantic Division, which consists of Boston, Buffalo, Detroit, Florida, Montreal, Ottawa, Tampa Bay, Toronto.
Yeah. That being said, you got Tampa Bay, Boston, Florida Panthers, who are on a tear and they look really good, and then Toronto. Let's not count out teams like Montreal, who did go to the Stanley Cup final last year, even though, as a Toronto Maple Leaf fan, I'm just like, I hate Montreal. Get out of here, get out of the way. But you have to respect the fact that they are coming off a Stanley Cup final and they could be dangerous. So I don't know. It's going to be a fucking battle, man. It's going to be a battle. We'll see what happens. But as far as Ottawa and Buffalo go, they're both. Buffalo's just a tire fire still, and Ottawa is just on that build. They're on the build. I think they're going to give teams a lot of trouble. I think Ottawa is going to be a 500 team this year.
Sorry, who? Ottawa, you said, or Buffalo?
Ottawa.
Oh, okay.
I think Ottawa is going to be like a 500 team this year, man. I think that they're going to do pretty good. They're not going to make playoffs, but they might be like 10 points out of a playoff spot or something, I think.
Okay, but you're still saying the Leafs will make the playoffs?
I think the Leafs are going to make the playoffs. I think they're going to finish maybe third in the division. I think they're going to finish. I think that Tampa Bay, Florida, Leafs, Boston. That's what I'm thinking.
Tampa Bay, Florida, Leafs, Boston. Okay.
Yeah, that's my prediction.
And I'm curious. I haven't been following them enough, but I do know that they've been in a really weird rebuild. Detroit.
There's too much going on over there, man.
Apparently
Bertuzzi doesn't want to get his COVID-19 vaccination and his stuff like that. So he's one of their star players. I mean, when you think about Detroit, like, who do you think about? You think about Dylan Larkin at this point, and then and they traded Mantha away last year to Washington. So
and they grabbed Bobby Ryan, which I'm a little confused.
I don't know, man. They're a very weird organization. There's some shit going on over there, but they need to rebuild quick and rebuild soon.
And it's funny because Detroit was always I have a secret crush on the Red Wings. I don't know, but
yeah,
you look at their roster and man, it's almost like they never planned for the departure of Zetterberg and
Datsuk, Zetterberg. Yeah.
They did not plan at all. Like, their highest paid player is Dylan Larkin, who's their captain. Well, $6 million.
Well, they left when Datsuk and Zetterberg left. They left it in the hands of guys like, I think Helm was still there, and then you had, the name's gonna come to me. Hold on.
Tatar there at that point.
Tatar, and there was another one of. Oh my goodness, that's going to bug me now. It was Tatar, Helm, and there was another young stud there. And it's going to bug me now. But they left it in the hands of those guys.
Is he still there or is he gone?
No, he's gone now.
This is going to bother me.
Yeah. But there was one more guy there. Maybe check the roster of Detroit Red Wings 2015.
I was going to say 2015 would be the year, right?
Something around there.
Abdelkader.
No, it wasn't Abdelkader. It's someone else, Arch.
There was Johan Franzen.
No.
Abdelkader, Svechnikov. But Peter Mrazek was there back then, too.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Peter Mrazek was in Detroit.
Nicholas Kronwall was there.
Yeah, he was still there. There was one. It was wasn't Abdelkader. It was another. Abdelkader had a couple good years there, though.
Zetterberg.
Gustav Nyquist.
There it is. Yep.
Yeah, it was Tatar and Gustav Nyquist. That was their young guys, and they looked like they were kind of going to take it over and do well, and then just it didn't pan out, man. And now Detroit's just left with nothing, right?
Yeah, they're in trouble. Wow.
Yeah, buddy. I know. I know.
And
they don't have
in net. They've got
Bernier?
No, they've got Thomas Greiss and Alex Nedeljkovic, the rookie goalie.
Yeah, so Greiss and Nedeljkovic.
And where the hell did Bernier go? New Jersey.
Oh, God.
Jonathan Bernier is in New Jersey. Huh.
All right. We'll see what happens. That's New Jersey's in our division too, right?
Yeah, and they've got their PTOs. They've got Jimmy Vesey on a PTO and Freddie Gauthier on a PTO.
Buddy, so you're looking at it already. Ottawa, Buffalo, and Detroit going to be bottom feeders all year. It's going to be between the five. It's going to be Boston, Tampa Bay, Florida Panthers, Toronto, Montreal. That's going to be it, man. We'll see what happens.
And it's crazy because of those teams, it's funny, the teams that you're mentioning here, Ottawa's got the most cap space. Then it's Buffalo, Detroit, New Jersey.
Yeah.
But they can't seem to put together, I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Well, outside of that, really nothing else going on in the NHL that is worth mentioning. Oh, what do you think of again, preseason Seattle? Have you caught any highlights of that?
I've caught a couple highlights. Still interesting to see the jerseys. Still not a fan of those jerseys. I like the color scheme. I just don't like the actual logo, man. I feel like if it was a fucking real Kraken, like off the friggin' Kraken bottle of dark rum or whiskey or whatever it was, I feel like I would be into them a little bit more. But I seen that Giordano played his first preseason game in Calgary, so that must have been pretty interesting for him and the fans there.
He scored,
and scored on a little nifty backhander move, cutting across. So that's pretty cool. But other than that, we'll see. I don't think Seattle's going to be the Vegas Golden Knights. I think that they built more so for a future build roster than kind of right now, let's dig in kind of roster. So,
and you mentioned Vegas. I have a feeling, I don't know why, but something tells me this is going to be the year that we see a fall in Vegas. I think we're not going to see that powerhouse team we've seen the last couple seasons. Something tells me they are going to struggle this year. I don't know why. Yeah,
well, buddy, anything's possible. And now you don't have Marc-Andre Fleury to fall back on if Robin Lehner somehow goes down or has some mental breakdown or something. You know what I mean? So we'll see what happens.
And that's the thing. He's currently day-to-day. So he's already not looking good to start the season. And there are other goalies. I don't even know who they are. So, I think we're going to see.
They lost some toughness in Reeves too, right? Reeves is on the Rangers. So there's a face puncher that you could always use to back up your boys. He's gone now. I mean, it'll be interesting. Pietrangelo, Mark Stone. You still got those kind of key guys there on the back end and on your forward group. We'll see what happens.
So, what was I going to say there? You just mentioned the Rangers. I feel like the Rangers have definitely improved their team.
Bounce. Yeah, but they lost Buchnevich, man. I don't know, man. Do you see Buchnevich scoring for St. Louis? It was weird, man.
I know.
Like, fuck, I can't believe you let it. I know that it's cap stuff and cap stuff, and then also like I think Buchnevich was looking to sign like a decent contract or whatever, like long term. I don't know what his contract was with St. Louis, but obviously the Rangers couldn't afford him. But I mean, I don't know, man. They lost Buchnevich. Now they have Nika Zibanejad and they have Panarin and Lafreniere and Kreider, and hopefully they can carry them to a decent team. We'll see what happens. But Metropolitan is a tough fucking. That's always a tough fucking division, buddy. Always. If Crosby and Ovechkin are in there, it's always a tough division to play in, man.
Yeah, and we saw the return of Jonathan Toews in an exhibition game. We'll see if that progresses and if he's ready to go for a full regular season.
Yep.
Last week, just a brief mention, you mentioned the whole, when it comes to professionalism in the NHL, the players in suits, and boom. And you made some good points.
Yeah.
Arizona becomes the first NHL team to have a fully relaxed game day dress code.
Yeah.
So you mentioned some things that I thought, hey, you know what? I never thought of that. It actually makes sense.
Yeah.
So your points were, they're in the desert. It's hot out there. Coming to the game in a suit and tie, kind of shitty. And then I thought, but you could still keep it classy. And we've seen it. Like, you could still keep it classy, you know. But I'm starting to feel like, I know that with COVID, all the teams kind of allowed a more relaxed dress code. In places like Toronto, New York, Montreal, I feel like the guys love to dress up in their suits and they love the whole fashion thing. It's a whole image for them. And we've seen it. Austin Matthews has a very interesting wardrobe. Mitch Marner, Willie Nylander could be a model if he wasn't a hockey player. And apparently Freddie Anderson was another thing you'll catch in the documentary. Very picky about his hair, very specific with his hair. And everybody said he was very model-like. So I don't know. Does this change things? Do you think other teams will follow suit? Do you think they will also relax the dress code? I always thought, why not if they're in team apparel? Why not?
Yeah.
You know, like a team tracksuit. Because getting to the game is one thing. I always wondered why leaving the game, it would suck. After you sweat and you play 60 minutes of hockey, and then, I mean, you shower, but then to get back into a suit to get on a bus and drive to the hotel or jump to the airport and get on a plane. I feel like at that point, after the game, I think it would be way more relaxed. It should be more of a, team hoodie, track pants, go. To get back into a suit.
Archie, it's the history, buddy. It's the history. 100 years ago, the hockey players in the NHL, all suits and ties, and it's been like that. It's just like golf. Even to go to a golf course and play, you need to have a collared shirt on, stuff like that. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
It's the culture, it's the history. What Arizona's doing, I mean, I don't really get it. I mean, I did mention like it is hot there. They are in the desert, stuff like that. Then you mentioned something funny, saying that because Arizona's probably folding soon, and why not look like a bunch of bums? As the team's starting to go down that road. But yeah, dude, it's the professionalism, it's the history of the game, and you look back at those clips from like 1925, 30, and it's black and white, and you know what I mean? It's just all these like men were such fucking men back in those days. You know what I mean? Like a 20-year-old man back in 1920 looked like he was 30 years old already. Like that's just the way they were built and bred. And I kind of like the tradition. Like I like the suits and ties, man. It just makes them look like, that's a fucking man right there. He's ready. He's showing up to work. He's going in there for business. So I like it.
Yeah, and I hope that the rest of the league holds on to that part of the game. I never agreed with the Lou Lamoriello rules of shaving and facial hair. I think that's stupid. I get it. He's trying to keep it classy and make it a gentleman's game, as you call it, and whatever. But something like that, if it's a well-groomed beard, I mean, Joe Thornton's beard got a little out of hand, but that guy is like a caveman. Like, he shaved it and it grew right back. Like, that guy is just next level facial hair. But, you know, I think that it should be a business casual look, you know? I mean, if they allowed guys to not have to wear the blazer and just have a nice shirt, collared shirt, whatever. But to go as far as relaxed, I just hope it doesn't get to the point of like NBA players. I think it's ridiculous what NBA players show up to games in. I've seen some where it's like, you wouldn't wear that in the streets. Why the fuck are you going to the game dressed like a fucking clown? And it's all about, you know, who's paying them to wear what? All these little side deals and endorsements that they might have.
Yeah.
But like the Leafs kind of, I'm not sure how I feel about the whole Justin Bieber's line, Drew, and how they came out with this Leaf line of stuff and it's blue and yellow, and not sure how I feel about it. I hope they don't allow the players to wear that shit during games. You know, I'm not a fan of it all. In some cases, like what Drake did with the Raptors was probably the best thing that could have happened to them from a
sponsorship standpoint.
Yeah, from a merchandising standpoint, they sold a shit ton of stuff. The black and gold looks real sharp. Not going to lie. It looks nice. So it worked for them. But on an individual basis, for each player to come dressed the way they want, I don't know. They can do that wearing a classy look. I don't think they got to go down to relaxed look. Don Cherry would have a lot to say, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'm excited. Hockey season is 2 weeks away, about a week and a half maybe.
Yep.
And things are ready to roll. So with that said, next Friday, we'll figure it out if it's worth having a show. Otherwise, we might take a little bit of a quick break. And then we'll be back on the 15th, which is 2 days after the official start of the season, where we'll have a lot more to talk about, because by then,
of course,
people start planning parades. People will start calling for Sheldon Keefe to be fired, for Kyle Dubas to be fired.
Be ready for fireworks this season, that's for sure.
Pandemonium. People are going to start planning parades or canceling parades. Who knows? But as of right now, we won't be here next Friday, but we will be back on the 15th, ready to roll as the season gets underway. And yeah, Wade, you got anything else to add?
Nothing else to add, guys. Love doing the show. I can't wait for hockey to start back up. Obviously, there's going to be fireworks. It's a big year. First real, full season since COVID hit us hard a few years ago, and fans back in the stands in all destinations, fans going crazy that are hungry for live events, live shows, being in an arena, players anxious to play hockey for a full season and be with the boys again and win cups. So let's see what happens. And then Olympics, obviously, this year, players are going to be trying to play really hard too, because they want to make that Olympic roster. So there's a lot at stake this year. It'll be the first Stanley Cup won again without any kind of COVID complications, hopefully. Let's hope that there's nothing happens and that we stay on schedule for the full season. That's it. I'm just going to be hanging out. Can't wait for hockey to start. I'll definitely be watching opening night, watching the Leafs, watching other games too, checking it out, seeing who's who, seeing which teams are made of, and what teams are looking like they're going to be quick folds, or what teams are going to be potential Stanley Cup finalists. So we'll all see, and I can't wait. But Archie, great show. Anything else to say, buddy?
That is it, really. So again, thank you for those who tuned in. If you didn't, you suck. You got 2 weeks to figure your shit out and be here 2 Fridays from now and start watching. And on top of that, if you're bored any other night of the week and you want to know what else we've got, here it is.
Yo, where's the competition? Bring on the competition. We need some competition. Y'all ain't no competition. It's time to ball. Yeah, shawty, time to brawl. Cause see, we bout to stomp y'all from the jump ball. Be worried, not at all. Your team is gonna fall. Hope you learn something from it, cause we schooling all of y'all. Putting you to shame. Don't hate you even came. Bringing the pain to anybody coming through the lane. Simple and plain, we gon' play it like we playing dames. Ain't got a chance, even if we give away the game. So hope you brought your best. Go put your skills to the test. An early off season, about to lay your team to rest. Chalk is another loss, that's what it's gonna cost. Go with your instincts if you're having second thoughts. Your buck, this is where it stops, player. From the point to the center, whole team got hops, player. We be the kings of this division, here to knock you out the box, player. Just wait until I get the rock, player. We tired of playing losers. Oh, y'all think y'all some winners? No matter who we up against.
So that is our complete lineup, and if you are interested in seeing it, Whiskey Cinema is about to go live. They're talking Halloween movies. Can you believe it's already that time of the year?
Yeah, man. I'm going to Castellome tomorrow for the Legends of Horror Halloween friggin' Fear Fest thing, so it should be interesting.
No way.
Yeah,
Sweet.
dude. Yeah, buddy. I can't wait. I've never been, so excited to go there. But Halloween's upon us, falls upon us. Go get your pumpkins, people.
Yes, and I mean, I hope Halloween, for the sake of the kids, is happening because it falls on a Sunday this year, so it'll be nice. It's on a weekend.
Yeah.
It'll be nice to see kids out and about, hopefully doing their thing, and some sort of return to normal. But yeah, speaking of returning to normal, like I said, we are off next week, but back to normal 2 weeks from now, Friday the 15th, back at 7:30 p.m. You'll catch us here. We'll give you all the updates. We may or may not be happy, hopefully, that the Leafs are off to a bang and a wicked start. And that is it. So on behalf of myself and Wade, thanks again for tuning in. Wade, final remarks.
Guys, have a wonderful weekend. It's Friday night. Go get it. Have a drink, relax, watch a movie, go out, party with your friends, party with your family. I just hope that you're not too hungover in the morning. Cheers.
Yes, sir. All right, guys. Have a good one.
All right. Take care, guys.